A few times a week. I don't know whether it's ethical or not, but I'm using it lah. So don't worry. And I also recognize that the people say no. I'm not saying you're wrong, but hopefully I can convince you lah by this 4-hour workshop that it's ethical to use that. Okay, other than ChatGPT, how many AI apps do you think are available in the market that can help with your research and writing? Also, this we have diverse in terms of answers. Majority saying less than 5, maybe less than 10 as well. More than 100 also, 7 people saying okay. So probably you know Gemini, right? Cloud, what else? DeepSeek, yes. Queen. We'll go through some of that and we'll see some that are very useful to follow. Okay, again, as the moderator mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to ask during, you just chime in. Don't worry to just wait until the end. I'm just worried that 4 hours is not enough. Then if you have your questions, just ask directly so I can answer it directly. Yeah. Because we're going to skip a lot of, I'm dividing this into 2 sections. One, we're going to talk about the tools. That's the elephant in the room. I don't want to show you, okay, all of these hundreds of apps. You can use it freely. I want to show you the ethical side first. So that's going to be my first part. Second part will be talking about the apps. So the apps, I'll be hopping around several apps, not just ChatGPT. First, I'll go for ChatGPT and then go to other apps. So I don't want you to, give me like, okay, you remember the app that you showed earlier on, can you show it again? If you have the question on that particular app, it's better that you ask directly, right? Okay, thank you very much for the 69 of you who answered this question. Hopefully, I have a good picture, meaning master students, majority, and then you also PhD students. Okay. So this is the background. I think the moderator already mentioned. Yes. That's why AI. Yes, I did a photo, but 3 years ago. Okay. So I would like to also highlight this. It's not in the bio that the moderator mentioned. I had same issue or the same struggle as you when I was starting off. So during my masters, I did it in Japan. Over there, if you have some friends who are graduated in Japan, masters there's no requirement for article writing publication. You basically just follow what your supervisor say lah. And say, okay, go to conference, you go to conference. You go to do writing, you do writing. But it's not a requirement to publish an article, publish a journal article. So I went to one conference. They wanted to convert my article into a journal article. But during that time, I already starting to write my thesis. So I said, I don't want to do it. It's not a requirement, so I forgot about it. Ends up, when I went back, I was recruited by UMPASA, Universiti Sultan Abdullah. And the requirement to get permanent job there is to publish a paper. So say, rather than starting from scratch, why not I just publish that paper? So I look back, the letdown was a few months off. Already I should have revised the paper, but I didn't. So I, in Malay, tebal muka, basically, go back to the editor, say, please, can you still consider my paper even though it's been 2 months of the deadline? Alhamdulillah, she said, okay, you revise, and then we try to submit. And then Alhamdulillah, it was published. But once I come to Malaysia, then I know the ball game is totally different. For masters, in UAE, how many paper? One, scopus. Or index paper. Okay. Yeah, I think same as UMPSA. And then PhD, 3, 2. Yeah, I think we are quite the same. I think most of the universities also the same. One index paper for masters, 2 index paper. Okay. So I now understand the ballgame in Malaysia, you have to publish paper. Because of that, I know since I'm going to go for my PhD, I need to learn this a lot. I really learn the knowledge of dynamic writing, so I have to do this. So I learn, I practice, I improve, especially if there's workshops like this. If especially the free ones with food, I will register myself. I ask my seniors, they are already editors of journals, so how do you make a good journal article, things like that. So I try to make it a point to understand how to write article, because I know during my PhD, it's a must for me to publish articles. So Alhamdulillah, once I continued after 5 years serving in UMPASA in Canada, I hit the ground running basically, because now I know the journal structure and things like that. So usually for my just focus on the AI and also the ethics of AI writing. I also focus on how to write a good article, what are the steps, basically going from A to Z, and how to find a good journal, how to format your journal, your paper, how to how to respond to the reviewers, how do you respond to the reviewers and things like that. So Alhamdulillah, during my PhD, 9 articles, 6 of which are Q1 articles. In Canada, it's 4 years for PhD, but also co-authored as well, 6 other articles. So from that experience, of course, it's 6, but 9 articles, but the rejection was, I think, 3 times more than that. So I experienced a lot in terms of it getting rejected, they're looking at the window, like very sadly for one day and after rejection, things like that. But from that experience, I made a book and I wrote a book on article writing. I have it here, so tak izin sini untuk saya ni lah, tunjuk nanti in case you are interested. Tak izin bahasa Melayu. But then end of 2022, ChatGPT came out. During that time, it's relatively unknown even in Malaysia, and people just see, oh, okay, this fun thing to do, just like Google search and things like that. I, as an academician, straight away know this one thing reality. So starting from December 2022, I started using ChatGPT alone, because my faculty, nobody in my faculty know about this. I was the one alerting my faculty, saying to the PD, academic, I'm saying this is what we did. So we have to somehow take a look at this. So today, I'll try to share with you some knowledge on AI apps. But I emphasize a lot, and even I studied a lot in terms of the ethical usage, because I'm trying to do this kind of workshop to a lot of universities. If I'm teaching something unethical, my NC will call me and say, what are you teaching other people outside our university? So just so that I'm teaching the right way. Alhamdulillah, for now, up to from 2022, how to, this kind of so up to now, Alhamdulillah, 80 and counting workshops. Most of it is on AI article writing, and as you can see, several universities, even UM, UTM, with them, I have done this workshop. Why I show this is I want to show you one very vital knowledge about the commonality of all the universities with regards to AI. And I've been asking the same exact thing, every university I go to, and I have one single answer for that. And I'll explain to you that afterwards. With regards to ethical writing. So this is the book. I've got it here. I'll pass it around if you just to look at it. Because usually my workshop is 2 days. I cannot go through the details of this book, but if you are interested, then you can do a separate workshop on this. Okay. All right. Disclaimer, my research scope is science and engineering. In the same scope, basically, about science and engineering. And my background is mechanical. So the one thing I also want to emphasize is academic discourse. I acknowledge your intellectuality. So don't be afraid to even question anything that I say. It is a academic discourse. I'm not saying I'm right, everybody here wrong, so don't question my authority. You can actually say, no, I don't agree with you. It's okay. In the end, maybe from the 3% say no, suddenly 50% say no. Now that you say this, I think it's unethical. It's okay. Right? This is academic discourse. And again, I'm not an expert in AI. My PhD is not in AI, but I'm more of application based. So I think most of it here are not AI related study, but mainly want to know how, and then I can help you out. Okay. Before that, this is an excerpt from a methodology section in a paper I was reviewing before this thing was last year. This is the methodology. My background is welding, so don't worry about the technical piece. But I want you to look at it and try to figure out what's wrong with this methodology. As a reviewer, I gave the methodology a major revision. Straight away, I know this is from ChatGPT for sure. What is wrong with this? It's feel free to. Don't need to know the details. What is MC? It's okay. Don't need to know that. But as a general rule in methodology, basically this paper violates the number one rule in methodology. What is wrong? Sentence. Passive. Okay, that can be, improved for sure. But in terms of something, there's a fatal mistake in the methodology there, where I say this is major revision, not just simply it's major. What's it? It's good thing there are a lot of master students here. I think it's good practice for you as well. To see this and say, okay, if you can figure it out, then maybe you're in the right track, for your this article paper, but also valid for this writing. Anybody?
There's no citation.
Okay, yes, citation, for sure, yes. Thank you very much for that. But what I teach my students, obviously, what I tell my students, in methodology, there's one very important rule, and this one very important rule. Yes. Repeatable. Why is it not repeatable? That's you're in the right track. Why is it not repeatable? Yes. The number one rule in methodology, any study, is you have to be as detailed as possible. Number one rule in your methodology part. Don't give big things like carry out with great attention. Very big. Great attention. How great attention it is? We're not going to tell. I'm just saying that I did really good, did very good research on this. How? It's not mentioned. Okay. So there's two parts here that triggers me to say this is from ChatGPT for sure. With great attention to detail and great attention to detail, you should be saying what the detail is, not just vague like that. Number one. The other one is meticulously established. Yeah. Same thing. You're just saying fluff to show that, oh, I did very great work here. Tell me what it is. I'm not saying, but yeah, it's very great work. What is it? But it's great. So again, methodology, number one rule is you have to be very detailed as possible. And these are the kind of things ChatGPT will give you. Why? I'll give you another one rule. Another number one rule when you use ChatGPT or any generative AI apps that I usually share is that when you use ChatGPT or anything else, even though it's a supercomputer, it knows a lot of knowledge. One thing it cannot do, and I think for until Ahmad it cannot do, is it cannot read your mind. Meaning to say, if you don't give it enough information, it will not give you very good answer. But knowing that generative AI likes to, we call generative AI people pleaser, basically. we will try as best as can to answer your question, even though it doesn't give know a lot of details. So that's why probably this writer he said, okay, please make methodology. I'm too lazy to do the methodology. Make the methodology for this writer. If you say, oh, sure. That's the I mean go-to way to ChatGPT to say yes, sure, I will do this, no problem, things like that. But it doesn't have the details, so he say okay. He knows, meaning to say why it is written there great tension. He knows methodology needs to be very detailed, but the detail is not being given to it. So in the end, he said, okay, give me something like this, great detail, great tension, things like that. So that is straight away signal that is coming from ChatGPT. So I said this is major revision. Okay. The reason why I cannot give this because it's all in your head. You are the one who do the research. You are the one who knows how many duration, the parameter, the whatever else kan. What sampling size and things like that. ChatGPT will not. Okay. Now comes the question. Maybe you become smarter. Oh, okay. If that's the case, then I'll give ChatGPT all the details. I'm going to give it the parameter. Okay, the parameter is this. The duration is this. The sampling size is this. I'm going to give everything as detailed as possible to ChatGPT for it to give me such methodology. Will it work? Probably will. Probably will. But are you not already giving it methodology? That's exactly methodology. Okay, I'm giving you parameter. Okay, the parameter is this. That's methodology. Why you want to put in ChatGPT anymore? You see, so this kind of I say basic knowledge in terms of thesis writing, article writing. If you take time, if you have any other workshops like this, you feel, oh, okay, I already know AI, no need to go to this. You have to understand the basics first in order for you to filter this kind of thing. When ChatGPT give you something like this, it's rubbish. So for students, maybe your starter, newcomer, it's very nice, great intention. That's what I like. But reviewer say this is maybe correction. So sometimes we overemphasize on using ChatGPT to the point that we are not confident in our own knowledge. So it's kind of double-edged sword. It was, I think, it's just an introduction. Okay, and statistics. Let's go to this one. This is a big elephant in the room. Allow me to go to maybe 1.5 hours on this alone. After that, once you already have some knowledge on this, hopefully you can explore by yourself. I'll show you some other apps and we will go through the other apps as well. Okay, this should be some of the lingering questions as the researcher with regards to AI. I think everybody of you, at least 1, 2, 3 of these questions are in your head, but nobody is answering it for you. Is it ethical to use ChatGPT or other than AI? I think some are still saying maybe, right? So meaning that is not still answered yet for you, some of you, and half of you. Number 2, AI detection is the same as plagiarism. Okay. Same one. Okay. How much percentage of AI detection is allowable? You have your AI have 13, right? 13. Okay, you're using 13. I think all users in Malaysia are using 13. We have 2 things. I'll show you afterwards. We have simulated index, and now we have AI detection percentage. You are subscribed to the AI percentage or not? I said no. Okay, I'll mention to you. That's a good choice. UMP subscribe. But macam paling tadah lah. But basically, I think that's a good choice of not having this. But I'll mention why. Should I use human AI to avoid detection? This is another thing. Okay, now I feel bad of using ChatGPT and things like that. I want to cleanse it using human AI so that hopefully it sounds a little bit more human. Should I use it or not? Answer? My personal answer, no. And I have reasons. Some maybe say it's good to cleanse your the AI word, but my personal answer, no. I'll explain everything. Don't worry. All these part will be answered for at least maybe for 4 hours. Which AIX is the best for research and writing? I will go through that as well. I have my own handpicked ones that I personally use. I personally also share with my students. And alhamdulillah, one of my students, he was previously from police vocational. We have another stream called Bachelor of Technology. So he went to that and finished his degree. He wanted to further studies. So meaning to say, he's very technical person. I mean, hard skills person. So we tried to develop his soft skill during UMPASA degree. But he wanted to go for a master's. So whenever I do this workshop, I said, okay, you come to this and get a free training of the how to use AI. Alhamdulillah, last 2 weeks, we published a Q2 paper. No article, no article writing experience background, and not even in an academic background. Basically, it's a hard skill in the background, welding. But alhamdulillah, he managed to write article from there. Okay, story goes. This is a very recent issue. Basically, this year, one paper. Basically, it's not this year. Last year, December 25th. A person by the name of Aiden Rogers, 26 years old, from MIT, published this paper, article Artificial Intelligence, Scientific Discovery and Product Innovation. So it claims that AI helps researchers discover 44% more materials, leads to 39% more patent filings, and automates 57% of idea generation tasks. So this is very groundbreaking, basically. Have all this data in his paper, a lot of data, and to show that AI actually really helped in research and writing. And even it was praised by a Nobel laureate by the name of Darren Acemoglu. He's like the mentor for this idea guy. So he mentioned this is a really nice paper, you should take a look. And he got a lot of attention from the media. So Nature, Wall Street Journal, Atlantic called him, interviewed him, saying what wonderful work he did with this paper and things like that. But I think you all know the plot twist, basically. Plot twist, yeah, the data was fabricated. Ironic, isn't it? The paper is saying how good the AI is, but using it unethically. So one of the reasons it was found out because people in his field said this was in his second year of PhD. He said you get all this a lot of information, I think maybe thousands, 100,000 data. It's impossible for you to do it in just 2 years. And from all these companies you mentioned all of them. So we are saying this, so yeah, and we are calling it obviously. So eventually MIT also initially MIT was highlighting this guy like very genius guy, but in the end they are also distancing themselves from this guy. So not only Aiden Rogers got the brand, but also the university itself, MIT also say this. So again, it opens up to debate again. Oh, okay, we told some of the ones who are not with the AI, yeah, we told you AI is bad for you. Look at this guy. So comes to debate again, is it ethical, can we use AI or not, and things like that. Okay. I also want to highlight one recent talk in UTM, 21st July this year. So this guy, Dr. Mikhail Gracia, is an Elsevier ethics expert. He came all the way to UTM. I wasn't in there, but I looked into his Facebook live video. It was recorded. So he mentioned a few things. Responses from scholar communication community on the rise of generative AI. I'm taking this verbatim, word from what he mentioned in the talk. We are collectively excited about the opportunities the technology brings, and that we see a need and urgency to establish a framework on how to use it responsibly. Scholarly communication community, we need to say Elsevier, Springer, Dylan Francis, all of these have already acknowledged AI is here to stay, but we want to look into the framework on how to use it responsibly. Okay. So it's not something that black market, that kind of thing, they are doing quietly. They already know you're using it, so they acknowledge, because technology is not going to go backwards. And so when my late father did his PhD, he was still using typewriter. writing his typewriter, big typewriter around. But should he be forcing me to use this typewriter as well? No, I'm already technology, we have Google and all these things. So same thing goes. And in my days, I don't have ChatGPT. But because I don't have ChatGPT, why can I say, oh, you only use Google, you only use Wikipedia? So I thought this going to change. But one thing he mentioned, and it's a favorite question in all the workshops, even in mine, is about the percentage. So I think a professor in UMPASA have mentioned for a surveyor in his case, what is the percentage of AI detection that is allowable? He didn't answer that directly, but he mentioned this. There is no universal tool to detect generation generated AI or generated AI content. Full stop. He didn't mention, okay, with that, I recommend blah, blah, blah. This just that answer, and then he finished the question. Okay. And why this is the case, I will show you. It's very controversial. In terms of AI percentage, it's very controversial. And that is one of the answers that I got from all the workshops. I also asked the same thing to all the lecturers in each workshop. What is the percentage in your university? I'll give you the answer first. Okay, very, very briefly, I think you already know what generative AI is. I'll just go very briefly here. This is not the AI portion, but it's important for you to have this. It's basically a supercomputer. So generative AI like ChatGPT, we call this large language model. Think of it as having all the information in the internet, all the things documented in the internet, soft copies and things like that, PDF files. So whenever you add something, just pick and choose whatever details they have from the internet to make up a well-structured answer for you. But since it's taking all from all the sources from the internet, you'll find out that each time you answer, each time you give a question, even in the same question will give you a different output, because it has infinite number of options to choose from. So that's why you get somewhat the same structure, but different sentences and things like that. So that's very common. It's not faulty of an AI. Okay, it's able to generate new data to the point that we think that it's thinking, but actually it's not. It's just working on the principles of statistics. Okay, probability. So let's say I'm from engineering. In engineering, there's a term called stress. Any engineering? Oh, no. Okay. In engineering, we have a lot of terms that are, how do you say, demotivating, basically. We have stress, fatigue, strain, fracture. Okay. All of this is common knowledge. That's why you look into engineering students are very miserable. Very stressful because you have to manage stress. So if I ask in ChatGPT generally, what is stress? In my mind, I'm talking about engineering stress. I'm an engineering student, I'm an engineering lecturer, I want to talk about stress. But because of the probability, it will try to find the most common answer to stress. So will I get an answer for regarding stress of engineering? No. You can try it out now. Just mention what, if you say what is engineering stress, then of course not. But if you say what is stress, then probably it's talking about your health, mental health. That's also important for engineering students. But that's why I'm saying number one rule when you use ChatGPT or any other generative apps, it cannot read out. You have to really emphasize that I'm an engineering student. I want to learn about stress. Tell me what is stress. Then okay, you're talking about engineering now. Let's talk about engineering. But if not, then you say, oh, why? And for example, for longer workshops, I usually do a lot of examples using diet. So sometimes you say, okay, I want to bring down my weight to 10 kg. And this week, for example, give me a diet. Suddenly you give bacon, things like that, and you become angry. Why give me bacon? I'm Muslim. How does ChatGPT will know you are Muslim? So you don't blame ChatGPT if you give a very big details of your book or your question. Okay. The good thing about AI is it can learn from mistakes and improve. This is a major thing. And before this, I asked where are the 10 places I can visit in Langkawi. They confidently will give a lot of places lah, macam ada Dataran Lang, and then Mahkamah Suri, things like that. Including in that answer is Menara Al-Sultan. Okay. Till Ahmad, you try to find Menara Al-Sultan in Langkawi, you will not find. For foreigners here, you won't find Menara Al-Sultan in Langkawi. These kind of things. What was it called? In generative AI, there's a special term called, which is generative AI will give you a confidently good answer, but in the end it's wrong. Hallucination, yes. Hallucination. Hallucination. Yeah, when somebody get high and you hallucinate. I'm not making that word up. It's a proper term. It's not a mistake, it's not an error, it's called hallucination. So AI can hallucinate as well. So confidently, I don't know if you look into movies where people get high, they are confident. Yeah, trust me, bro, and yeah, but it's totally wrong. So that's why I think they have this term, hallucination. Okay, so we want to talk about generative AI as for research. So what about this? What are the ones that are in the available in the market? So this is regarding one question of mine at the bottom there. How many research apps are there in the market basically for you to use? Okay, I did the survey in a a doctorate support group, largest group of for PhD or for postgraduates in the world. Malaysian born, the owner is from Malaysia. So I asked over there, and it was already maybe around 1 year already use of generative AI. I asked, okay, what other than ChatGPT, what other research apps that you're using? Okay, so people are chiming in a lot of answers, and I was surprised to find out, even during that time, this is 2 years ago, basically, the answer is okay. You can see here, these are all research-based apps, research-related apps. Not talking about making cat pictures or not. This is talking about research-based apps. These around 16, 17, I think, apps available, and this was 2 years ago. So I'm pretty confident now hundreds of AI apps that you can use for research-based apps. So one thing I want to mention here, you have to understand another thing is this one. Avoid shiny object syndrome. Have you ever heard of this? Shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome is basically anything that is new, you pounce to it. You become very excited. Oh, let's look at this one. And then another new one. Oh, this one is also like a cat basically you put laser and there's a pointer here or pounce. That's called a shiny object syndrome. Meaning you are always excited towards new things, but in the end you're not going to get full usage of it. Yeah? Even the big ones ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, Grok, and from Elon Musk. All of these three, let's say these four, other than teaching, so all of these will update every few months. Maybe like 2 months, you will update again. And for clickbait, usually like influencers on this kind of things will say, oh, breaking news. Group already have a new version. And then tomorrow, breaking news, Cloud have a new version. And you are the ones who are clicking every time. Okay, take a look at this, take a look at this. In the end, you are jack of all trades, but master of none. So my suggestion, if you look at this, you're familiar with some, and you know that it's really good for you. Personally, you're already subscribed. Don't go for anything else. I say, stick to that. As long as it's good for you, and go for that. In my case, even though there's DeepSeek, ChatGPT, all of this, they say, oh, Gemini is very good now. Right? I still like to personally stick with ChatGPT because in the end, it's going to update anyway. Let them fight want to update every time. Let them fight. You stick to your own thing. If not, you're going to be shiny object syndrome. Okay, I did that once when I was searching. I said, oh, a lot of things. I want to search everything. I want to see the best one. At one point, I said, stop. After a few months, I go back to this thing. The interface will also change, and you have a lot of updates. So it's always of time. You have a limited time for your master's PhD, so don't waste time looking at all of this. But I'll show you some of my handpicked ones. If you don't have in that particular part, to use any apps, then feel free to take a look. But if not, if you already have, for example, corrected papers is also somewhat similar to Insightful, and is also somewhat similar to Research Rabbit. So if everybody seems that it's new to them, to everyone. Research Rabbit, nobody here use Research Rabbit? No, okay. So, but just to say to you, Research Rabbit, Insightful, corrected papers, lead maps, a few others are somewhat similar for literature search. So if you are familiar with one, stick to that. Don't waste your time to do others. Okay, going back to ethical usage. Okay. Everybody knows how to try this. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Okay. Good. All right. So this was last year. The Aiden Turner Rogers case was this year. This one was last year. Somebody published a paper in Frontiers in Cell Development, Cell and Developmental Biology. So this paper was retracted. What does retracted mean in journal terms? Means it was published already. It was online. People read it. People start to question for some reason. Maybe the data, maybe the whatever. And in this case, these two particular picture. So they have issues with this. They complain to the editor. The editor investigate. They say, yes, we agree. We have to retract this. Okay. I think it's more painful for a paper to be retracted rather than rejected. Rejected is between you and the editor and the reviewer. Nobody else knows. And you say, oh, I rejected this guy. It's a confidential thing. Retracted is going to be in the news like this. It's worldwide. I think it is from a Chinese university. They published this. Now the name of the researcher, the university name also people know already. So what was the issue? If you look, maybe it's a little bit blurry, but this is supposed to be a picture of a cell in the cell of the rat, probably. But looking closely, all the English there are gibberish. Mambo jumbo. Maybe DMMER. What does that mean? I don't know. Start and jump. That mean anything. Okay, and all those arrows as well. In out. No, there shouldn't be any arrow in a cell. Supposed to be a cell. True representation of a cell. So it turns out they use genetic AI. So immediately once they see this, even though maybe the paper itself is very high quality, once you use this, retraction, not revision, retract directly. It's also the same. Supposed to be a rat, and the organ there is supposed to be like a life size organ. It's not like a zoom in kind of thing like that. So because what kind of organ is this like that? And you look at all the English as well, and read that DCK, what that mean, all this, all gibberish. So then it was detected. So generally speaking, for your thesis, your journal article writing, the use of generative AI to make up images like this is across all journal publishers, they will not accept. We're not talking about just simple diagram like recycling diagram and recycle review. That's okay. But we're talking about this should be real representation of a cell and things like that. It should show So this is what we consider as unethical usage of generative AI. So given that, we are mostly concerned about the text. So if okay, let's say I'm not using image, and I generate image, it's okay, no problem. How about the text? Then generative AI has to be used. All of the other apps that I showed you mentioned before, most of them are regarding the text. Can it be used? If it can be used, where is the truth? We are definitions. You say maybe your foundation is shaky, basically. What is my concern is if I think it's a favorite question now in Bible, especially. Maybe some of your parents will ask you. Your English seems very well. Did you use ChatGPT or not? Okay, you say you don't want to lie, Bible. So yes, what I mean. Okay, the second question is more scarier lah. Why you use ChatGPT is unethical? I disagree with ChatGPT. Why you use it? Sudah. What are you going to say then? So, to help you out, I want to show you proof. Where is the proof? Where's the thing? Where is the proof? Most of you are using every day. Yeah? Yeah. If you are given the question then, like that, how do you answer? Itu one shot, betul-betul masih. Okay. That's not going to be very useful. Don't care who the money is. I'm saying it's unethical. I got proven. So just say that I'm not the editor. You have to find. I'll show you some. Okay. Here are these are all papers from papers. I'm not giving details. I'm giving to look. Some government guidelines in literature about AI usage. Okay. Number one, there is a very clear rule. Very clear rule. They are going to be listed as an author. Maybe it sounds funny, but the first big issue in generative AI was that one person, he used ChatGPT, no guideline that time, published in a Elsevier journal, said, okay, I feel guilty, I'm using ChatGPT. Maybe I should put it as a co-author. I'll show you. You can find this name, Siobhan O'Connor. Siobhan O'Connor. Yes. So now you can see it has been updated. Okay. Interestingly, it was not retracted. The paper was not retracted. Usually before this, it was Siobhan O'Connor, ChatGPT here. And then now you have affiliation, and you have expanded here. Usually there should be affiliation. Okay, she's a University Manchester lecturer. And so, okay, how do I do it? I put OpenGPT, what's called OpenGPT. Sorry, OpenAI, the name of the company. The address of the company. So during that time, it caused a stir in the academic world, saying, oh, this is cheating, unethical, while using this, debate. In the end, they agreed, okay, you cannot put ChatGPT as an author. So, interestingly, this paper is still available. It's not retracted. They just remove the ChatGPT part. And another interesting thing is, look at the citation. 649. I'm pretty sure people cite this not because of the regarding nursing education. It's because it's first instance of ChatGPT being used in academic book. And so it was like a case study, basically. Very interesting. But in the end, it was published in a journal, Soviet journal. Okay. So, walaupun nampak kelakar cannot be listed as an author, it used to be people wanted to put that. So, inanimate things cannot be listed as an author. Your cat, cat is an animal, but it cannot be listed as well as an author. Only humans. Okay, second, publishers require disclosure of AI use. So several publishers will ask you to disclose, and I'll show you the example from Al-Sultan. Sometimes it's in a dedicated section, sometimes acknowledgement, or sometimes they will ask to put in methods, methodology that you have to put. So you have to be careful on that. And humans must verify accuracy, validity, and originality of AI generated citations and content. I think this is a very valid thing to do it, because ChatGPT will not give you a very good answer. I'll show you how you can actually improve the outcome of the reference. Okay, I think you already experienced before. You ask in your field, okay, give me 10 citations of 10 reference. Yeah, I've done it for my field as well. I think last year or something like that. I said, okay, give me 10 papers on this particular field. You give everything, I copy the title, the name of the author, the journal paper, the journal name. Guess how many out of 10 is correct? Or I mean, it's not correct. 10 out of 10. Okay. I cross-check with Scholar, Google Scholar, everything. Okay. So you have to understand the seriousness. In case you just take from ChatGPT, this is going to be very, you're going to get distracted. Because people say you're not careful, diligent enough in your work. So please be careful on that. Okay. And this one also, AI cannot be used by reviewers to write reviews. So as a reviewer myself, I have to still take a look at paper. It's easy for me to just upload in ChatGPT, give me the review for me, and then give back. But they will not permit, and maybe you get blacklisted if you do so. Some journals allow, some prohibit. That one also you have to take a look at. It's not something that everybody will accept. Okay. This is one of the proof. Have you read such guidelines? In my university, we have a guideline for students or staff alike, guidelines for using generative AI and UMPASA. My question is there any for UID? Oh yeah. Okay. Kalau saya tunjuk ada, this I think would be really good, especially for universities. I've gone through a lot of universities that still don't have. And if you already don't have, you're not alone, basically. But it's already been 3 years of ChatGPT. I think it's about time for us to have this guideline. The reason why I say this is very, very important for universities is so that you can streamline the lecturers and also the students. At the moment, all lecturers have their own moral compass, basically, your ethical compass. Students have their own ethical compass. And it will sometimes not, we will clash with each other. I think this is ethical, one meaning. And then the lecturer does disagree. You get marks being deducted because of the moral compass of some lecturers. But I mean, again, we don't have any guideline. So in the end, people are having their own interpretation of generative AI, what is ethical or not. So in our case, Alhamdulillah, I think it was already 1 year and a half. We have our own guideline of UMPASA. Okay, I'll show you the closest thing that is available in your idea. You just type IIUM generative AI. IIUM generative AI. You have this generative artificial intelligence usage policy, but this is regarding journals, and also generative AI for research. Ada? Ini Google, it's not from my folder, it's in Google. So, especially for students, take it as something you must read. Something that you must read. Why? Again, back to your Viva. During your Viva, if somebody saying this, why you using this? Prof, yes, I understand. I use ChatGPT, but I'm referring to the guideline that is the official guideline of UID. Okay, that professor external, probably from UGM and UGM, something like that. But I'm referring to this. And from what I've read, I'm still within the limits of the actualization of AI. Very, very important for you to selamatkan diri sendiri lah, basically. During that time, I'm not here, your professor probably cannot say anything. So it's between you, Allah, and even ChatGPT can help you that time. So this is a good way for you to answer lah. Okay, let's take a look at, for example, here. Generative AI usage policy. This is from your internal journal, national journal and scholars. So read out, dia tak macam apa, but basically, you know lah, what is the do's and don'ts in your university. I cannot say read my UMPASA one that one is for my university, but of course, maybe you can take a look lah. If you don't have, then maybe you can try to do it, and I'll be happy to offer assist lah. You need any external help. Okay, what about journals? And that's regarding thesis, basically. But what about journals? Ada soalan ke dalam saya lupa. Oh, if there are any question, please let me know in the chat box. Okay, here's the Elsevier guideline for authors. For Elsevier, across all the journals of Elsevier, and the Elsevier is number one in terms of main journals. You have to do a declaration of generative AI in AI-assisted technologies in the writing process. What do you have to declare? During the preparation of this work, the authors use blah 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 in order to, what's the reason? Proofread or something like that, paraphrase. Right? After using, the authors takes full responsibility for the content. I highlight this because, yes, in the end, you cannot say, oh, ChatGPT say that, and you have to take full responsibility. So ChatGPT should only be your co-pilot, not the pilot itself. Okay. So you have to say this. What about other publishers? I've looked into some, particularly like Springer, Taylor Francis. I think Taylor Francis asks you to disclose in your methodology. Springer, not very clear. So some just didn't mention at all. Some maybe, but you still have to look into the updates line. So for Elsevier, very clear. Every time you want to submit, there will be a pop-up. Yeah, make sure you declare if you. Okay. I have some of my colleagues, they say I didn't declare. Boleh je lepas ni. I suggest don't use that pass because you are, I mean, to make sure that maybe afterwards people say, I think they use and ChatGPT, why not this person, then you might get into trouble. And so why not just declare? Okay. So maybe you are asking, oh, if I declare probably I might get rejected lah, kan? So what should I do? I'll show you some. These are from several papers in 2024. There's this word. During the preparation of this work, the authors use, during the preparation of this work, the authors use ChatGPT 3.5. That is way back. Now it's ChatGPT 5. Daniel Utika used any AI tool to improve language and readability. These are all Elsevier journals. Last year, people publicly declaring not get rejected. The fact that is I can search in the internet and Google Scholar means that it's been published and not rejected. So for safe, just to be safe, I think you just declare in case you will use it. Okay. And also again, be careful. This is the kind of things that you don't want to be in trouble with. This one, I think 2034 as well. Look at the first sentence. Certainly, there's a possible introduction for your topic. That is in a journal paper. Cause a storm juga lah, geng. People, memang people make fun of this guy lah. Okay, it's already been published. Elsevier journal. So I'm also wondering how it asks the editor, the writer, the author, the proofreader. Somehow, suddenly, it's possible introduction to your topic. So for that, really, the name of the author, the university name also. And most cases, I think you already know lah. If it's like the university related something, in the news, university lecturer from UMPASA got cheating over there. So usually the name, they don't really care about not the name of the lecturer, the name of the university. So it hopefully we can help give good name to our university. Also this one, in the journal itself, as of my last knowledge update, being published in Elsevier as well. Why I don't have access to real-time information? And this is not the diary of yours. It should be a scientific report, but still, this is actually from ChatGPT as well. So we have to avoid these kind of things. Kalau tak careful, you will like what is maybe basically. Okay, so it can be declared, no problem. There's some guidelines. What of plagiarism is the main concern. Does AI constitute plagiarism or not? Okay. Before we go to does AI constitute plagiarism or not, let's go back to what is plagiarism itself. If you understand this, then basically same thing for us and for wudu and things like that. Go back to the basics first. Apa yang membatalkan wudu and what will answer your obligation. So you know the basics, then anything else, maybe unique things, you can just go back to basics. If it's not related, then it's okay. So in this case, actually plagiarism, there are several types. I think maybe you're aware. Mosaic plagiarism, self-plagiarism. If you publish already that paper, you still want to put that data in another paper, you have to cite as well, even though it's yours. Ini bukan cerita masuk batu kat sini, kan? Bukan nak riak ke apa kan. That's ni lah how it is in the scientific world, kan. You have to do that. Okay. Of all the types, boils down to these three main components to avoid plagiarism. You need to avoid being allegedly stealing ideas from others, even from yourself, from your own paper. First, don't claim it's your idea, it's not. Implicitly or explicitly. What does it mean? Implicitly, explicitly mean, say, okay, we did this work, but you have other person's data. That's explicit. What about implicit? You didn't mention, you didn't give any citation, you just put in the paper data. So people assume, maybe that's his data or her data because you put in that thing. So that is implicitly saying that that's my idea. So how do you avoid saying that? Is you cite the original sources. Whenever there's original sources, then okay, you terlepas you're not being accused of taking someone else's idea ataupun data. And also another thing, I also personally, I don't know why this is the case, but in academia you have to also paraphrase. I mean, it's the same word juga kan, tapi somehow this hukum hakam you have to follow. I don't know why, but still these two. If you follow these two, it should be no problem. Okay. Interestingly, when AI, before AI and after AI, two things happen. One thing, before AI, paraphrasing is the most difficult thing. We are not native speakers. So thinking of how do I put this in another way of English, but professional English and very headache for this one. But original sources, no problem. Now, after AI, it's flipped. Original sources, paraphrasing is easy, very easy. But now I have to check each one, original source, is it valid or valid or not. So it's kind of a flip. But again, it goes to the same hukum, basically, these two things. If you cite, if you paraphrase, then you are not considered plagiarism. So does using AI constitute plagiarism or not? If you have these two, no. Can you agree on that? These are the two. When you go and take a look all the types of plagiarism, basically just these two things you take care, you will not be considered plagiarism. So if these two are taken care of, then AI usage cannot be considered as plagiarism. Okay. Now goes to the AI detection. Okay. Yes, AI can be used ethically, no plagiarism, in case of I cite properly and also paraphrase. But what about the AI detection? Okay, maybe you're not aware, especially lecturers here also. There's something called AI detection internally. In some universities, they have this. University don't have. We have similarity index up here. It's called similarity index. Interestingly, if you take a look at the wording, it's not called plagiarism check. They call it similarity index. Why? They don't want to accuse you of plagiarism. Nak elakkan daripada any legal issues lah. And they can say this looks similar. You have to check yourself whether it's plagiarism or not. And we're not going to say it's plagiarism. Just looks similar. Okay. This is similarity index. This is called AI detection. Okay. So this looks for AI. Well, okay, let's look at this one first. URA, how many percentage of allowable similar detection? Can anybody answer? 25%. Master students, you know about this? Thesis, 25% and below. True? Okay. Have to be confident as well, because according to university, it's different. Some 20%, some 30%. UMPASA also 25%. Okay, that's clear cut. I've gone through a lot of universities. They can answer this very, very clearly. Now comes to this question. What about the AI detection? How many percentage? UIA don't have this percentage, but do you have any percentage? You know? No. Okay. I mentioned before, I've gone through a lot of universities. All the answer, there's only one answer for this question. No percentage. I'm confidently saying here in front of all of you, UM tak ada. UTM tak ada. UMT tak ada. Tak ada lah. IIUM tak ada. UMPSA tak ada. So, even though this one, after 20%, it will 20% and lower, it will not show the percentage. Above than that, then it will show. Okay. Conclusively, I can say universities in Malaysia don't have a percentage. And why? Before this, I was thinking why is it difficult to pinpoint the percentage? I'll tell you why. Okay. One thing, look at this. This is from my student's thesis. 3%, very, very nice. Okay, I was for degree also 25% and below. 3%, very low, very nice. This one, 28%. This is what I'm talking about. If you don't have a guideline, then this is based on your own interpretation. Maybe some professors say, oh, this is okay. Some professors, no, it's wrong. You have to get 10%. So this is very big. I want to show you what Timothy shows if I hover this. This is just a screenshot, but let's say if I hover to this part, what does it show? It will give me this. I'll read up, maybe you can. Portion percentage may not indicate academic misconduct. Review required. The review required. Sorry. Percentage may not indicate academic misconduct. You need to say, okay, 25. According to the similarity index, 25 and below should be the one. But if this is 28, so if I just follow the same thing, then I should reject. But I say, this may not indicate academic misconduct. You have to review. Again, cognitive is trying to giving a suggestion, but it's up to you to review. So if you have any issues with the student, then it's up to you and it's not our problem anymore. Also, I'm not sure if maybe because you don't have this feature, but if people all the users that have this feature, this will pop up. Okay, and it will give this disclaimer. Our AI writing assessment may not always be accurate. Okay. So it should not be used as the sole basis for adverse actions against a student. So lecturers, especially lecturers here and undercover professors, please be aware of this. They want to avoid any liability. And anything will say, I'm not responsible for anything that you do. You give your students from A to B, suddenly your student want to take legal action, we're not responsible. You and your student. Okay? You have to be very careful on that. Okay. Now, interestingly, this is what I did. I did a lot of experiments myself. Okay, this is 20% and above, it will give me this answer. I find another paper that shows less. Okay. Now I get 11, that one, clear, no problem. This one suddenly become asterisk, star. No, number. What does it say here? AI detector scores below 20% threshold are not surfaced in the report because they have a higher likelihood of false positive. We need to say, okay, we detect this paper, this good paper is below 20%, but we're not going to show you the number because they have higher likelihood of false positive. Meaning to say, looks positive, but it's false. Looks positive, but it's fake. Maybe they use say something like that, so it becomes true. Okay. So anything below 20%, it will show like this. Anything above, they will show the other thing. My question to Trinity, if there's any Trinity representative here, what do you want, Trinity? What do you want? My student get above 25%, they say, okay, maybe it's not academic misconduct, you have to check. Below 20%, still we're not saying this is perfect, you have to check as well. So what's the use of this feature? That's why I mentioned it's a good call from UID to not have this feature. I understand it is costly to add this feature. Okay. And I'm only controversial with regards to this, because students say, I did myself, suddenly high detection. Why? So all of this is very controversial. Okay, 100% done by myself and you still get a high percentage. Okay, I'll show you why. That's why I like to take a time to show you this ethical usage, things like this, so that you have some protection basically when it comes to your thesis. And suddenly in your Viva, I said, I saw your thesis is very good, but why is AI detection very high? And you understand why. Okay, one paper, 2023, mentioned this. GPT detectors are biased against non-native English writers. Any English native speaker here? So this is all about history. Okay. This I would say groundbreaking lah. That one gives highlights the issues of AI detectors. They made non-native speaker and also native speaker write essay by handwriting and from TOEFL. They gather all of that. So 100% no AI lah. You have to do exam, right? So it's 100% no AI. But when they put in AI detector, they found out the native speaker around 20% AI detection. The non-native speaker 20%, native speaker around 5%, something like that. So way more. The question is why? Why are non-native English speakers, even though both 100% manual and not to use the AI detector, but we have a higher, I think 4 times more than the native speakers? That's the question. Why? If you can answer this, then you know why AI detection is controversial. The main reason is non-native speakers don't know very fluently how to use intricate wording, vocabs. We use standard English. When you use standard English, okay, I'll give you a simple example. Maybe because it's too short, maybe you will not get it better, but I'm giving you an example. For example, I want to say I go to school. I say I go to school. How AI detection works is it's not because you copy paste and things like that. There's a misconception. Or if you copy paste, then it will detect. No. It will look at the sentence, and if it can predict very well the next word, then high likelihood it will say this is AI. Okay. So for example, I, okay, say okay, this I. Usually after person, it will have verb. I go, yes. I get that correct. After go, usually it's a preposition. To, yes. Again, correct. After preposition, usually it's place, location, somewhere, school, yes. So this is perfect sentence structure. Probably this is AI. Even though 100% I did myself. Okay. Why native speaker can get away with this? For example, the same thing you want to mention, but it gives something rosy, something like to school I go. Shakespeare is to school I go. The sentence structure is weird, but the information is given across lah. But when the AI say to school, what kind of structure is this? So it's probably is human rated. So this is the case when native speakers, they will use jargons, they will use bombastic language. End up people say, oh okay, then probably AI say this human rated. But when we use very specific or very simple English, they say this highly likely. It's not about copy paste. It's about how they call it, either it's low perplexity or high perplexity. Perplexity meaning confused or not. So if the AI say, I can predict this very simply, it's low perplexity, higher likelihood of the AI lah, they say. If very high perplexity, I don't understand this word, to school I go, then it's going to be likely human. Okay. So it's a good tactic for us to use bombastic words in our thesis or our article. Okay. So now that you know how AI detector works, okay, you don't want to get high percentage of AI. Probably because of this. Now I understand how to use bombastic words after this. And that's what usually a humanized AI do lah. Make the word tweak the sentence a little bit, so that it becomes weird or use bombastic language. Is that a good strategy for your thesis and your article? Yes, absolutely not. Why? We are writing scientific report, brothers and sisters. Scientific report is objective, straightforward, and to the point. The objective of this study, I think billions of people have already written. But that's exactly, as a reviewer myself, that's exactly what I want to hear. It's clear cut. The objective of the study is, okay, I agree. Okay, the study looks into, I agree. Or the parameters are, blah, blah. Figure 1 shows, blah, blah. Okay. You must remember back, AI learn all this language from who? Humans. And now you have millions of articles, scientific articles, made like that. Because, okay, I'll show you this slide for you to understand. This is a very important line. This is the researcher's dilemma. And that's why I think people still get confused, or people still have this anxiety about using AI or not, things like that. Okay. These are the things that AI to look for. One, low perplexity. Meaning to say, it's very easy to predict. Flat rhythm. Meaning to say, if each sentence that you put 10 word, 10 word, 10 word, they say probably this from ChatGPT or from AI. So it will also flag that as AI. And overuse of certain phrases. I can't remember some of the phrases, but you might want to take a look at that one. But okay, this is the spectrum. Okay? If you use bombastic, weird English, I would say just weird English, like to school I go, things like that. Yeah, you say, oh, this is very good. It's high perplexity. I cannot understand this guy's words and the sentence structure. So probably it's not AI, probably human rated. On the other hand, you look at the review space, that's the review phase. I, as a reviewer, have already the template of what an abstract looks like, an introduction looks like, what the results should look like. Suddenly, you use humanized AI, okay, just for example, abstract, you have to have introduction, objective of the study, in the first two sentences. In fact, a prominent professor in my university, he teaches students, he said, in our field, or abstract, 9 sentences, no more, no less. And what are the words? Number 1, number 2, first introduction, second objective, and then blah, blah, blah. No more, no less. You know, he said there's already a template. Shows the student, okay, this is a template. First introduction, put introduction, whatever. Second is objective, put it. Don't try to be fancy, I want to put objective at the bottom. This is not a movie, put suddenly like cliffhanger at the top, and then no. Put it like it is, a scientific report. So once every single scientific report looks like that, you fit into the large language model, you will say, this is exactly what we've seen all these thousands of years, hundreds of years, our generating. It will detect AI. But the thing is, reviewer also have that template in their head. You want to please the reviewer, or you want to please the AI detection? That's the dilemma. So in our case, if you want to please the AI, okay, you get your English learner, bombastic, okay, very nice, very low AI detection, but the reviewer say, what this guy don't know how to write dinner. Where is your objective? I don't know. It's not hidden somewhere, I don't know. Should be very clear. The objective of the study looks into whatever else. But on the other hand, use formal English, standard English, you might get detected as AI. But the reviewer will like it. Okay, your paper is clear cut. Where is the objective? The result shows millions of people already write that. It will maybe get detected as AI, but it's okay. Okay. So what I always share, or my stand right now is, if you want to detect that as AI, feel free. I don't bother. And the good thing is, I've heard a lot of from editors as well. They won't get papers will not get rejected if there is high AI content, but maybe they will ask to revise. Not rejected purely because high AI content. I had one student, he said, I got letter from email back from the editor. He said, your paper is 70% AI. Please revise, but it's not rejected. To that point, 70% was still okay. Meaning to say, journals are not very strict and say, oh, need to be 20% below. So okay. So again, I mean another thing I did. I think I'm going to write a paper on this. I've done a lot of research. Okay. I had one curiosity. Okay. There's lots of AI that's around the world. What if I use one exact document, put in all these detectors and see the percentage whether it's right or wrong? And so the exact document never been published before, my original research. I put in 15, I get 36. Kalau in terms of the threshold tadi is considered high, right? But in my case, I've already submit this, it's okay. It's been published, going to be published soon. So no issue, even though 36%. I have another one. This is also free, 0 GPT, 12%. Same document, now 12%. And there's a quote saying likely human written. Another one, size space. This is also an app, 4%. Essentially human terus. And this guy lah, GPT-0 saying 89%. Confidently, moderately confident this is AI. Same exact document. Saya tak suka sikit. So you can see the discrepancy 4% to 90%. I had a friend. He for his first born child before in his wife's womb. They're curious to know male or female. So they went to clinic lah. So one clinic doctor say, okay, interesting. Okay, we are confident that he's 100% female. So be happy lah, you're getting a female doctor. But he wasn't really that satisfied. He went to another clinic, second opinion. The second doctor said, okay, we are 100% confident he's a boy. How can we both say 100% confident? One saying male, one saying female. This one. 100% confident is essentially human, one is a body. Yeah? And if they are all academicians, right? If you have this kind of statistics, right? This is already rubbish work. Rubbish work. So I had a student come to me one time. He said, I have an issue. I look into the plagiarism of my paper, already 0%. My plagiarism check was 80%. So I have trouble because I already paraphrased everything, still 80%. What should I do? The first thing I asked was, did you use, what app did you use? He said, I use Grammarly, subscribe to Grammarly. My suggestion, I said, use Turnitin first. So I said, okay, why? The reason being, Turnitin is widely used. And if this is the kind of algorithm that is different from each other, I'm sure if I use Grammarly, maybe another percentage. Not even close, plus minus 10, okay lagi lah. We're talking about 4% to 89%. And just so you know, this is, I use the free version. The middle afterwards, would you like to subscribe? And you say, oh, you already have it ni kan? Okay lah, subscribe. Yeah, there's some monetary gains from that. But basically, I already know lah. Basically, there's two softwares that's widely used for editors of journals, and also Thesis lah. Thesis, Turnitin lah. Yeah. For journals, Turnitin, and also one Authenticate. Any editors here? But there's another one called Authenticate. But just so you know, Turnitin and Authenticate are both from the same company. Okay? Authenticate. On the same company, meaning you can be quite confident that the algorithm is the same. Meaning to say, if you have this Turnitin AI detector, if you know the percentage there, then probably about the same as what the editor of a journal will be looking at. So don't be worried lah, oh 89 lah kan. And now punya dekat 20 sikit je. So in terms of AI detector, maybe use that thing. However, I would like to caution the students. I know there are Turnitin software available in Shopee. You pay like maybe 20 ringgit or something, you share your thing, put in the Turnitin Shopee one, and you get your detection lah. I highly recommend that you don't do that. Okay. One thing is data breach. You're sharing your account with somebody else. You don't know who the account holder is. Maybe they want to take your thing as well. Never guarantee, I guarantee, but you're paying 20 ringgit. And Turnitin will not guarantee anything. And it's between you and that guy who's using unethical work, and but so anything will not be responsible. We had a student, unfortunately, in our university. His intention was good. He just wanted to look into the similarity index. Similarity index. So he used the Trinity in Shopee around 20 ringgit. When he wanted to submit to the library reject. So why? Your similarity index is 89%. Sorry, 98%. 98%. So he was puzzled. Why is this case? It turns out he used the Trinity in Shopee. It went into the depository. So after that, he changed a little bit probably. That's why it's almost 100%. You don't have control over the account. You just want to see it. Turns out, it went into the depository. They tried to trace the depository. It's in US. The account is in US. Don't know the name of the guy. And you cannot delete it easily. No. Even as a lecturer here, as a lecturer in UMPASA, if I put a document already in the depository, I want to cancel it, I cannot cancel it alone. I have to go to the library. Please take it out for some reason. If the library say, okay, you can take it out and take it out. Okay. So please be careful when it comes to this one. If you have your supervisor, just ask your supervisor for similarity index. If not for the AI, use the similarity index. Okay. Don't use the Shopee one. Given the time. I think I'll go through here a little bit. Let's say you're okay. Now I understand ChatGPT will take a look at all this detection things like that. I want to don't use any ChatGPT at all. Okay, there's an option for you. Okay, even though we are on native speakers, there's an option. It's called academic phrase bank. Have you heard of this? Tells you. You just write in the Google academic phrase bank. That's not it. So, academic phrase bank. The first link you will get is the University of Manchester, the most famous one. Okay. What you will get when you go here, this was taught to me in my university of Waterloo, and said you are a native speaker, you are non-native speaker, don't waste your time just looking at the grammar, how to make, thinking of how do I make the sentence and things like that. Okay. So, if you go here, everybody can use that. It's not just people, students in there. It's an open source. So let's say you have results. You don't know how to explain about your results. Go to the reporting results. Okay. Yeah. So all of these are introducing work, meaning all the steps from A to Z of your thesis or your journal is there. From introducing up to writing conclusion. So let's say you want to report result. Go down here and look at what kind of thing you want to explain. Let's say referring to data in a table or chart. Click here. Look, you have around maybe 10. A suggestion as to what the sentence is. Table 1 shows an overview of your data. Table 1 compares the intercorrelations among the 9 measures of chloride. That's only the template of widely available in the world. The most famous one being from University of Manchester. Of all the things you might want to say in your work, it's already here. The table below illustrates the proportion of different whatever. This is one. So there's hundreds of templates already here. I want to state a positive result. Okay, click here. Already here, 10, 15. Further analysis showed that blah, blah, the result is significant at P level for all of this. Okay, you can just use this. Let's say you don't want to use AI at all, ChatGPT or anything like that. I want to do the traditional route. This is the go-to. And I was taught about this. I didn't have ChatGPT during my time. I was taught about this because say you are not a native speaker. Don't waste your time in thinking about what is the you know it's a positive result. Just go here, find this. Okay. Now my test can come back to the dilemma that we have. Let's say 100% I use this. What about the AI detection? Then. Okay, that's why I say I did studies on this myself. I did one whereby just a mini article lah, basically, one page. Template 100% from the academic place bank. You can see the right part is the from I take from there, and then I put my own about my field lah, which is the value. So almost half lah, half from template, half from my own word, and no copy pasting. Even I was that meticulous lah. So I don't copy paste from academic place bank. I type one word per word. Okay. What's the result? I put it in Trinity. I'm curious. Okay, what is my Trinity say? 53% AI. Similaristics, yes. And you see, in AI detection also, it will like highlight where they think is the AI detection. Only these two terms. Totally different from mine. So you can see there's still lacking a lot of things in terms of AI detection. That was 52%. I did 100% my own. Why I did this? Because I do sharing in my talk, and a lot of comment from students says, this is my dilemma. I did myself 100%, but my lecturer accused me of using AI because I put in 15 like this. So I was curious, okay, if that's the case for students, what about me? I've experienced writing journals. I did it myself, 100% myself, still 53. So what the students say is true. And dia kata betul nak lecturer saya buat sendiri kan. Enak daripada A saya dapat B. So I don't think it's fair. Now that you know how AI detection is imperfect, I don't think it's fair to menyalahkan mainly based solely on this. Okay, let's say but Trinity say this, but you have to remember that Trinity also trying to avoid any liability. So it should not be used as sole basis. Maybe you can suspect, but then do some interviews. You mentioned this, can you explain about this? If she did it alone, probably she can explain very well. So again, please be careful on that. Okay. So that being said, take away message lah before maybe we take a break. Generative AI is a tool. It's neutral. Some it's actually a trick question. I'm gonna ask, is it good or not, bad or not? Bad or good is neutral, and it's a tool like internet or even like a knife lah. And you use it for chopping onions, okay? You stab people with it, it's bad lah. So it's a tool lah. How you use it is what Hakim said. Okay, I've gone through a lot of publishers. They mentioned AI genetic image is a no-no. Okay, so we also be careful on that, especially image manipulation, image generation. And then if you have any university or institution guidelines, then it's best. So if you are able to have, I do recommend you have, so that people can refer to. If not, again, I'm pretty sure this information people don't know, right? This that is not perfect. So again, we might have put our trust too much on Trinity to the point that we say, why we say I'm going to follow. In terms of similarity, that's okay, but in terms of AI detection, it's very bad. Okay. So again, I use AI as a co-pilot, always fact check everything. And again, we are not shaking. This is scientific article, scientific report. So to some degree, if they say AI detection, yeah. Especially for your introduction. My introduction will probably have a heavy AI detection. Why? Okay, let's say we want to do something about wakaf. Wakaf. Okay, you want to do a paper about wakaf. What's the first sentence in your introduction? Wakaf is apa kan? Means you have to define first lah. Regardless your leader is a professional kan, you have to define first. Wakaf is what kan? What you mean to say then no definition of that in the internet? 100% for sure ada. So whenever the large language model see, this is exactly the same definition ni, we detect this as AI. Now you don't have to stress yourself. You cannot. How can you cannot change the definition kan? It's a definition from the dictionary. How can you change? So, tak boleh buat apa. And then what else? What other types of workout? Unless your novelty is having another branch of workout, then using the overall agreed upon lah kan, maybe 2 types of workout, 3 types, I don't know lah kan. Meaning to say the large language model don't know that from literature. Because you know, so when they see the all of this, it's going to be detected. But once you go downwards up to the point where you start to say about your methodology, usually this is where the AI will not probably will not detect lah. Because now you have to understand the structure is funneling kan. Funnel. Yeah. So this is general knowledge, everybody should know this. Now you go to your problem statement and then your objective. So problem statement are already unique, and however lack of knowledge on blah blah blah. So probably ni they say large language model like ChatGPT say this kind of unique, and so probably we don't know this one. And this is where the part is where you should be doing your writing yourself lah. You're the one who knows your topic, not ChatGPT kan. If not, then you rely everything on ChatGPT, it will be very general. And I'll show you some proof lah after this. Okay. And then remember to write. Remember that writing and reading itself is a form of thinking. We usually say reading is a form of thinking, but writing itself, how can you condense all the things that you know into a single paragraph or one word? So that's a form of thinking. So if we outsource this entirely, then our concern is this. Okay. Right now, there's a term in the AI world called cognitive debt. Cognitive debt, hutang kognitif. So there's it's a groundbreaking research on in MIT saying this, showing that they make one do manually 100%, one using Google search, one using ChatGPT. Brain activity for ChatGPT is very low. Even the interesting thing was they switch first task manually Google search, Google search and also ChatGPT. Second task they switch. The manual, the one using ChatGPT now use manual. They found out their brain activity is still low. That's what something groundbreaking. Meaning to say over reliance on ChatGPT in the end they cannot function well. So my concern is during Viva, and you have like a very specific question asked by the panel, you cannot. You have like brain fog line, slow. So I hope that you can agree upon. Yes, it's ethical to use, but still it should be a co-pilot lah, not your. You give me methodology, give me direction, you get everything, but still you're the one who's in the Viva net yourself, like masters and PhD alike lah. So please be be kind to your future self in the Viva thing. Okay, only you, Allah, and even your supervisor cannot help you that time. ChatGPT also can help. Okay, so with that, I think maybe we can take a break. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. How many minutes? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay, let's take a break for 10 minutes, and then we continue back at 11:10.